Well, guys, welcome back. Um, Look, if you follow my YouTube channel, you'll know that I don't put out lots of content. Sometimes in a short space of time, I'll do quite a lot of videos, and then I'll just disappear. Uh, but the videos I do, they they're pretty good. They're pretty honest. There's no BS. I just say what I think. I use it as my own journal, and if you want to follow me, you follow me. Pretty accurate stuff. Um, so look, this is what I was looking at before. We did Doom 1, 2, and 3, and then I went silent. And well, since then, it's been going down quite a bit. So if we flip down onto the daily, I think the last video I did was around New Year's time, and I said, "Look, I'm out." And here we are. We went down. What was that? 30%. Okay, so a decent drop. Look, this is what if we go back onto the weekly, look, I'll show you what I mean. This is potentially a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't look that great to me, to be honest. I mean, I think this is what we've done. I think we've done this huge, great 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that we're going to go into this prolonged multi-year correction, and it's going to be pretty bad, to be honest. So if you have a look on the daily, typically what happens is you get this kind of euphoric phase. So you get this, like, let's say this is the fifth wave. How every single wave tends to start is that you get this kind of like the first sort of uptick. You get this sell off. That's typically like a bear trap. And then you get this kind of like bit of media attention, bit of enthusiasm that takes you up here. Then you get kind of like the stall out period, and then the greed. And this is kind of like greed, delusion. This is the next best thing kind of thing. If we get rid of that, the next thing that comes is this kind of like denial. This denial phase, like, oh, we're going to 140k, buy every dip, and then everyone's buying the dip, but it keeps going lower and lower and lower, and it's kind of like the denial phase. Yeah. I think what we're in now is the return to normal phase. Oh, look, we've got some green in the chart. We're going to go back up now, and then really the shit hits the fan. So I'm expecting the next phase to be the shit hits the fan. And if you have a look at where, most of the volume was traded, it's going to be sort of anywhere from here to here, really. You've got this FEG gap that was filled in this moment here. So if we have a look here, look. In fact, to be honest, we could put an FEG gap on there. Where is it? There we go. It's all this area here. So it's where there was little trading. So where it's like made a new all-time high here, look. There was a little amount of trading there, so it's had this back test. And I think, to be honest, I think we could come back down into this zone. If you have a look here, this zone here, that's where I'd be quite interested in. So somewhere around here, look. Maybe not quite low. Between 30 and 40k. That's where I'd be most interested. Could go lower, quite possibly. and then you would get this kind of like this big sell-off, and then maybe capitulation, maybe like that, something like that. I'd be a buyer around 35k, 35 to 40k, definitely. I'd also be quite cautious. So if you said that this was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where would the fib take you on that? I mean, to be fair, the 618 is right there. Look, 702, 786. It's quite a good fib zone, to be fair. But definitely this area here, this pocket here, where the uptick doesn't get back tested that much, just to here. So this, I mean, you could make it even smaller than that, to be fair. I'd say from about there to about there. Where's that? 39k. Yeah, that's where I'm looking for. That's where I expect it to come. Especially if it holds around this zone for a little while, and it really scares people. That's probably going to be a good sign. In terms of percentage decrease, yeah, you're looking at 63%. Okay. There is something I want to show you on Ethereum. Ethereum's quite interesting. So if we have a look at, let's get rid of all the drawings. In fact, let's get Ethereum on Coinbase. There we go. Get rid of all that. Ethereum looks very similar to what it did before. So Ethereum spent a long time in accumulation. If we have a look at this zone here, you get this massive uptick, and then it just spends a number of years in accumulation. And to be honest, I think that's what's happening is again with Ethereum, that this uptick here is this. So we've got this phase, which is here, basically. And then we've got this next phase, which we'll do in yellow. That's what I think this phase is. So we can actually do it like that. We can get a fib on that, so let's just have a look. I mean, a lot of this stuff I just play with whilst I'm recording, so I don't preset anything. That take it to the 382 to the 50%. Where did that take it to? 786. So they're still they are retracement areas, and then it went. Where did it go? 70. It went 80% lower than the bottom of that fib after it did a retracement. So if that was the case, 80%, you're looking at $170. And to be fair, I don't think that's impossible. I really don't. And then you just spend like 2 years in accumulation mode, and you like create this like Davos box like that. I mean, we've seen that so many times across so many different charts. I really wouldn't be surprised to see that. If we do a trend-based fib extension, where does that get us to? And that gets down to $80. What about if we put that on log? I mean, that gets you down on log. That gets you down to 702, 709. Yeah. food for thought on Ethereum, guys. But definitely, definitely possible that we come down into like really low hundreds on Ethereum, especially if Bitcoin's going down to like 30K. I really wouldn't be surprised. And effectively, what that is, if you have a look on, I can show you actually. There you go. So this is your market cycle. Effectively, that this is your first takeoff. This is your bear trap. This is your media attention, your enthusiasm, your greed, delusion, whatever. And basically what this is your first sell-off, and this is your bull trap. Okay. That's your return to normal, your bull trap, and this is going to be your capitulation. So, yeah, that's what I'm waiting for. Ethereum going to, into the hundreds, Bitcoin into 30,000s, and just for the market to go into despair, basically. And that's when I'll start coming into the market again. I have had some people ask me, what about Bitcoin Cash? Is Bitcoin Cash going to 50K? Here's what I see on Bitcoin Cash. So we've got the old, we've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now, whatever you want to say, whether it's an ABCD, contracting triangle, whatever, right? Basically, we have this this 5-wave count, and I mean, I think this is wave 4 because, as I say, we've got this contracting triangle. Looks like wave 4. If we get a fib up, takes you into the 0.618. So it could be something else. But on log scale, it's the 382. So that doesn't really matter. What I think is going on is this. I think that this is your wave 1. We're in wave 2 now, wherever that's going to take us. And then wave 3, 4, 5. Now, because the rest of the market is, in my opinion, bearish, I don't expect Bitcoin Cash to do its own thing and go on its own bull market, because that's never happened ever. I think that this will morph into like an ABCD, an ABC, and this is going to end up looking like this. Could go deeper than that. So this, we could come into maybe even $100, and that would be a good buying opportunity. The positive to take out of this chart is that there is life. Okay, so this is the first impulsive move up, and I will be buying down here again. I told you I sold most of my stack up here that I would buy back depending on how the chart morphed. I told you to buy here. If it comes down into the hundreds, I will be buying again. So, and then expecting this wave 3. So, yeah. What about XRP? Everyone's favorite coin all of a sudden. Look, I think it's very possible that XRP has put in a wave 5 because, it made a new all-time high. We're talking like very, very minimal. It's a joke. Like, so many people wanted to sell that shit. It was unbelievable. Like, they waited so long to sell that shit. me, me being one of them, like I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to sell that. So yeah, like let's say we got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What comes next? You get an ABC. So if everything's gonna go down, where's that gonna take it? Probably down to where I said, between 4 and 10 cents, something like that. That is genuinely where I think it's going. I think it's going to dog shit town. What else is there? I think that's about it, really. You get the gist of it. Not going to hang around for too long. I'll come back in a few months' time and revisit this analysis. Hopefully, you guys are not bankrupt. Hopefully, you do, listen to a degree, but that's up to you. All right, peace.